Hello, 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 and welcome back to Kinda Filtered, the weird audio-visual journal thing where I share my thoughts and feelings and run them through the sieve a little bit, because a little bit of mystery is kinda tight. It's a little bit tight, alright? Tight? I'm so funny. Anyways, you've read the title of the video. You know what this is about. We're talking about 2022, okay? It was a wacky year, but nowadays it's a meaningless statement because every year is a wacky year, isn't it? But I'm not going to focus on all the craziness of planet Earth. I'm going to focus on the craziness of my life and share what I've learned to see if it can help you make it through to 2023. But first, I need some caffeine. So, let's do that. Alright, I've got my caffeine. We're ready to go. And the first thing that we got to get off the table is congratulations, okay? Well done. You did it, big man or big girl or big non-binary individual. I don't really know what the word is. You get what I'm saying. You made it to 2023. Good job, okay? That sounds a little bit facetious, especially with the good job. But genuinely, you know what? Well done to you for surviving. All right, you could have been walking down the street, crossing the roads with AirPods in and got hit by a bus. Could have happened. Could have happened to anybody. Could have accidentally swallowed silica gel or something. I don't know. Got bitten by an extremely poisonous spider in the middle of nowhere. But you didn't do any of those things. Or you did and you made it through. Either way, you're here in 2023. So congrats, because there are people who didn't make it for those reasons or for more tragic reasons. And you're not one of them. So congrats. Pat on the back. And now we can get into the actual lessons of the year, okay? Now you're here. Now let's see if there's anything you can learn from me, random idiot on the internet, on how to fucking, I don't know, be better or something. I don't fucking know. Anyways, lesson 1. First revelation I came to last year is that I'm done. I'm done with self-improvement, okay? I'm done with it. All right? At least for now, kinda ish. Yeah? Yeah. So you might be thinking to yourself, what does it mean to be done with self-improvement? Because here's the thing. There's like two camps of people, right? Pardon me again. There's two camps of people, right, in my opinion. There's camp 1, which is most people who are improving themselves, right? I think very few of us out here are actively trying to destroy our lives to see how bad it can really get. Most of us want the best for ourselves and are, in some ways, working towards that, some harder than others. And then there's nerds like me who are into self-improvement, all right? The distinction is kind of like the difference between playing video games and being a gamer, you know? Pretty much everyone plays Candy Crush or a phone game every once in a while. But there's a very big difference between that and, you know, threatening to foreclose somebody's house because you lost a game of Fortnite, you know? That's very different camps of people. And unfortunately, I fit into the latter camp for the self-improvement types. Or at least I did, or I still do, and I'm trying not to, if that makes sense. Kinda. Yeah? Sure? Sure. Last year, I realized my time as that individual, we're done now. We've done it. I don't need to do that anymore. Because I kind of have most of the principles, the core important principles of self-improvement internalized at this point, you know. I know what they are. There's not another video that's going to teach me anything new. There's no book that's going to teach me anything new and actually helpful, right? Because every once in a while, you watch this video and it's like, oh, I haven't heard of that concept before. But then you're like, when you really think about it, you're like, is this actually going to help me? It's like I haven't even got my sleep schedule down. Why am I trying to optimize the best way to improve my calf muscles? I'm like, that's probably not relevant to you. So I think I'm at that stage now where I don't need any new self-improvement content. And what I do need to do, though, because I'm not done improving myself. I'm not finished. Not even fucking close, okay? All right, I'm very far away. But what I do need to do now, while I wait for the train to go past, you know, I'm just gonna have some coffee while it does that, if it's cooled down. So, how's your day? How you doing? Having a good time? Like I said, I'm not even close to being done with self-improvement, and let's be real, you never really are. You just get to a point in which you're happy with yourself. And I'd say I am pretty much at that point, but there are things that I'd like to work on. and like to learn and improve on. But now I think the only way to do that is to go out, do stuff, and either succeed or fail miserably. I don't think there's any videos that can teach me anything anymore, because now the only lessons left to learn are through fucking up dramatically. That's the only way I think I can learn new stuff now, which is good because it means that whatever I learn now is going to be unique and individualized. And if it's really helpful to me, then maybe I can share it to other people and then it can be helpful to them. So I think just trying to consume more self-improvement content would be bad for me and other people that I'd like to help if I possibly can, because now I can learn new things and add to the pool of knowledge. So I think sometimes people get into the trap of not learning new stuff and they're just regurgitating things they're being told by other people. And as much as peer-reviewed studies on things are fantastic and can help us understand the best way that most people work, each person experimenting with what works for them really helps other people, because then you might find a system that resonates and works for someone, but they would have never found that out because there's no peer-reviewed study for your weird fucking routine that starts with you coming out of bed, wiggling your big toe, turning around, doing a little twist, doing 3 jumping jacks, and now you're ready to work. And then somebody else does it and they're like, holy shit, this is the way to go. This is what I have to do. And on the note of things that you have to do, the second thing I learned last year was about adapting the advice given to you, which is cool because it's kind of related to this. There's a theme. There's a theme. So I was saying just now that most self-improvement advice is built for the majority of people, right? It's built for like the most amount of people, at least the scientifically backed stuff, right? The things that are studied, that a bunch of science nerds have put a bunch of people in a lab or tracked for years. And that stuff is built for like the everyman, which is fine. But I think sometimes you'll find that what works for everybody doesn't work for you. And this is a big problem, dude. This is a big issue with the online self-improvement space, hence why I made that video. Dude, the amount of videos you'll see where it's like, millionaire fucking morning routine, billionaire brushing your teeth routine, how to cook your eggs like a trillionaire. And I'm like, all right, bro, like, okay. Maybe Bill Gates does that. Maybe Jeff Bezos does wake up like that. Maybe they do. But I don't think like that means that's the only way to become that kind of person. I mean, this is not saying that those are the only metrics for success, right? There's many ways to be successful that aren't financial. But you get the point, where it's always looking at these successful people and being like, this is their morning routine. This is what you got to do. I found 5 random successful dudes and they did this. So you have to do this too. Otherwise, you're just going to fail. You're never going to you're going to be broke. You won't even have a Lamborghini at 23. What a fucking loser, right? Dude, imagine, what a fucking lame-o. Yeah, and I think I fell into that trap of like thinking, oh yeah, there is like a best way to do it, if I'm not working like Jeff or Elon or Bill or anybody. It could even be like your favorite influencer. If I'm not doing things like Hamza does it, or if I'm not doing things like, God forbid, if you're into Andrew Tate, like Andrew Tate does it. I don't know. I'm trying to think of internet people. Thomas Frank, that's like a less controversial figure, or Nathaniel Drew, or Matt Diavella. Then you're not going to be successful. And I think I've realized is, no, there's like different ways to go about doing stuff. And what you're actually looking for is trying to find the best individualized method. That's actually what it's all about. The whole point of self-improvement is to find the best system for you that makes you the happiest and achieves your results in the best way for you. And the peer-reviewed studies, the billionaire routines, the millionaire routines, the trillionaire diets, they can be a good starting point for your experimentation. But if they don't work, that's fine. You're not a broken person, all right? There's nothing wrong with you inherently. There's nothing wrong with you inherently, unless like you also like, I don't know, watch furry porn or something, then maybe go get checked out. But assuming you don't do that, then yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. But you got to experiment and find out what works for you. And I think last year I spent a lot of my time adapting advice to what works for me. And sometimes the advice was contrary to what the hustlers were saying, the hustle and grind people. Sometimes it was contrary to what the like chillax and relax people are saying. An example of that would be is I found that when I'm trying to do something new, I kind of have to go hard at it, otherwise I won't take it seriously, right? So last year, one of the things I actually achieved was I was able to go to the gym consistently for at least 7 months straight. For 7 months straight, I went to the gym 5 days a week without fail, which is insane to me. I had a slip in August because I had a festival to film, so that kind of fucked me up. But I kept it up, and I literally, it was one of those like things where I was like, yeah, this year I'm going to go to the gym, and I just did it. And I did it from 0 days to 5 days a week. And what I've learned is if I had said, let me go to the gym 3 days a week, that would be so achievable for me, right, that I wouldn't take it seriously. I would just be like, oh, I can skip this day. When you have to go to the gym 5 days a week, you have 2 buffer days. If you miss Monday and Tuesday, you now have to go to the gym Wednesday to Sunday every single day. And I've realized that I need that kind of commitment, and I need that kind of sense of urgency, or get it done, or if it needs to be that difficult for me to take it seriously. But for some people, 3 days a week at the gym is perfect. And then I also experimented with 6 days a week, and I realized that's too much for me. 6 days a week is just not feasible. It's like not realistic for my schedule, and I wasn't having fun doing it. So that's an example of adapting advice, right? Where like some people will tell you the best way to get into the gym is go 2 days a week, 3 days a week. And maybe for the average person, yeah, if you're just starting out, go 2-3 days a week. For me, it was 5 days a week. For you, it might be 7 days a week. Someone else, it might be 1 or 2 days a week to go into the gym and actually start that routine. So it's about adapting advice. The problem with that, and I think what scares people about the adapting advice and trying to do things your own way, is it makes you start to realize how long self-improvement really is. Like a really long time. I have friends now who are kind of starting to get into self-improvement stuff. They're not really into the content, but getting more into like actively doing it. And one thing that I always tell them is, here's me sucking my own dick for a second, okay, so just bear with me. I think I made a lot of progress, and I think it's probably apparent to my friends that I've made progress and that I've changed as a person. And even when it isn't, I sometimes bring out to them as like, this, I wasn't like this, right? There's things that I do that I think sometimes people are like, I just always did that. And I often remind my friends that I started actively thinking about self-improvement, like actively trying to change my life for the better, like thinking about it as like a thing in like 2015. It's 2023. I have only started to see really tangible results in the last like year or two. That's like 7 years of just failing, of being on and off, of being inconsistent, of following advice that doesn't work. That takes a lot of time. And on the internet, everybody wants to sell you something that's going to change your life in a year. And hey, you might get lucky. You might stick to it. You might be the kind of person that changes their life in a year. But reality is, it's a long game, man. You're playing for the long haul. You're changing your life, okay? You're not buying a new car. You're not changing your wardrobe. You're changing you as a person. And that's a long game, you know? It's taken me 8 years to be like, hey, I'm genuinely content with myself. I'm pretty happy with where I am in most areas of my life. 8 years. And I think it's important to remember that. So, yeah, it's going to take a long time to experiment and try different stuff out and adapt stuff, but you just got to stick through it. And when you're failing and when you're having bad days, bad weeks, bad months, dude, you can even have a whole throwaway year for all you care, okay? Assuming, God willing, inshallah, that you live till the age of 80, 90, whatever it is, okay? That's nothing, okay? You can have 6 months of straight failure. And assuming is not such a critical failure that you can't come back from it, it's fine. It's going to suck. It's not going to be fun, but it's fine. It doesn't mean anything. You can just keep going. And yeah, and I think, another kind of, we'll call this a half lesson. We're going to call this a mini lesson because it's not on my notes. But one of the lessons that I've really learned and internalized last year, it's such an overdone phrase, and I feel fucking cringe about to say it. I feel cringe for even about to say it, okay? Cringe for about to say it? Hold on. It's almost cringe having it coming out of my mouth. But comparison truly is the thief of joy. It will steal it from you, okay? It will 100% take away your happiness. At least for me, it did. That's what I've learned for myself is comparison it just takes away your happiness. I was talking to a friend about this. I've talked to a couple friends about this. But sometimes I'll have things, like for instance, I play guitar, right? And sometimes I'll play guitar, I'll have like a good session, and I'll be like, that was great. It sounded great, my voice is great, the guitar was great. And then like, I'll just like open up a social media app, and I'll see this like 13-year-old girl absolutely destroying it with the voice of an angel, and I was like, oh, so I sounded garbage. Huh. And then all of a sudden, I've taken what was a really positive experience and just destroyed it. And then that makes it less fun to want to come back, because you're like, oh, I suck. But when you're just looking at yourself and where you were, you're like, oh, this is great. It feels great to just be like, oh, I'm just progressing. I'm moving forward. And I think just, especially in the world of self-improvement, bringing it back to lesson number 2, don't pay attention to what other people are doing, okay? Like, you don't know how long someone's been at the game for, okay? These people that you're looking up to, they're like, wow, they're so amazing. Maybe they did it in a year. Probably didn't. They've probably been at it for like decades, maybe. Decades. They could be at it for decades, okay? So don't worry about that, okay? Focus on what you're doing and how you're improving, okay? There's a really good example of somebody who does this really well. I will link their stuff in the description if I can find it. But it's this guy who is like super duper overweight, like really, really like unhealthily overweight. And he started working out. I think he used to be in shape back in the day, but something happened, and he's just started working out and getting back on it. And his attitude to life is something I think all of us could take, because none of us are that far away from where we want to be. And he just will celebrate the small wins. Like, he'd be like, yeah, I can now stand up and make videos. Like, I can stand for like the entire video and just like do it, which is something that most of us can probably do fine. But this guy couldn't do that before, and he's so happy about it. He's like gleefully joy. Guy is like doing stuff that most of us take for granted, but it's because he couldn't do it before. And he calls them like his like new abilities. He's like, I have a new ability. And I just love that mentality. And I think a lot of us could take that mentality to our everyday lives, and everything that we want to work on is don't compare yourself to other people. If he was comparing himself to Chris Hemsworth and Brad Pitt and all these people and looking at their bodies, he'd be fucking miserable. He'd be like, I'm not going anywhere. But he's looking at where he was and looking at where he is, and he's seeing the tremendous progress he's made. And I know it's easier said than done, but yeah, I mean, I've just been trying to take that into my own life. But hey, listen, it's all fucking advice from a 23-year-old, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm an idiot. I don't know much, so don't ruin your life on my behest. With that, lesson number 3, authenticity. This is a big one for me. This is a big one. Big one for me. One of the things that I developed, especially on my self-improvement journey, is I developed a bit of a people-pleasing kind of attitude to myself. Not in the destructive way that most people tend to describe people-pleasing, but more in whenever I'd have a social interaction, I never felt like I was being the version of me that I am with like my friends, right? I would always try to adapt as much as possible. In my head, I'd be like calculating, be like, what kind of jokes does this group like specifically? And like always looking to say the things that other people liked. And because of that, because I'm not actually Professor Xavier from the X-Men, that just meant like I would just say so much less. And I would have interactions that were so much less meaningful. And it'd also be tiring, because it would be trying to keep up a facade that isn't indicative of who I am as a person and who I want to present to be as a person, right? And it just became tiring. And last year, I had a breaking point with it, all right? August time, I was just like, bro, I can't do it no more, all right? I'm going to just be me. I'm going to do that. I'm going to try and see how that works. I'm going to do what feels the most natural, say what feels the most natural, and see what the negative ramifications of that are. Now, caveat, heavy caveat, okay? And this is why this is not an advice show. It's a journal show, okay? You listening to me? These are lessons I've learned. They feel relevant. They feel useful. Take them. This is not advice. And this is a really important one, okay? All right? I do not have a propensity for saying crazy, wild shit, okay? I don't say a lot of wacky stuff most of the time, okay? I don't naturally want to say or do things that would get me in crazy trouble. I don't have the propensity. I never want to say anything fucking nuts. So that works for me. If you think you're going to say something or you have the propensity to do something that might get you in trouble, maybe don't follow this mantra, this life lesson, okay? Maybe reflect, talk to some people, okay? All right? But for me, this was fine, all right? Cool, caveat cleared up. Fantastic. So I did that, and I was ready to deal with the ramifications and see what would come of it, what would happen to me. And you know what? Do you know what's crazy, dude? I was like so ready for everyone to just be deading my jokes, for me to be saying like awkward stuff and like just having weird interactions. But turns out, I guess over the last 8 years, I've honed down my social skills, so I was fine. I was like, oh shit, like my natural self is fine. People are still laughing at my jokes. I hope it's not out of pity, but you know what? If you're laughing out of pity, you still laughed. So who really lost? Okay? Who really lost? All right? Still laughing at my jokes. And I was making good friendships with people. It felt like the connections I was making with people were more meaningful. Because when an interaction didn't go super well, I was like, oh, me and that person don't vibe. And that's okay. And that was like great. Just be like, me and that person don't vibe. Like, that's okay. I'll find a new person that does. And that's fine. There's like 10 million people in London alone. If I don't vibe with one person, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So I'm just trying to be like, just more natural. Just be myself, be the version of myself that I'd like to be. I'm trying to do that more often and more consistently. Because I just don't like flip-flopping, man. I don't like being in and out and just like chameleon-like. I know some people say that's like an okay, and I've had like some people be like, hey man, this is kind of like how you operate in like conversations or whatever. That's like what people do. And maybe it is. I don't know. I'm only 23. Maybe that is the right way to go about things. But for me, it's just never felt right to do that. To just, to be like a chameleon and stuff. Like I've never gotten anything out of that. I've always felt weird anytime I do that, and it's exhausting for me. So I'm just not doing that as often. I'm not perfect at it. I'm working on it. One of the areas that I'm struggling with it the most is in work situations, because the ramifications of saying a thing that was not only unfunny but offensive in a way that nobody appreciated, the consequences of that are much more dire. So I'm working on figuring out the balance in work situations, but at least with work situations you can just focus on the work stuff, so it's not too hard. I don't have to really push it. We can just talk about work most of the time, which is fine. But we're still figuring it out. So there's more to be learned on that. But yeah, I just learned I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't be inauthentic. I couldn't deal with it. And it's helping me figure out who the people are in my life that I want to keep around, because they're the kind of people who, when I'm being trying to be my best self, should I say, they're people who make me feel like that truly is my best self. That's what friends are to me now. Is people who make the version of me that I want to be feel like the version of me that I should be. And not everyone's going to be that, and that's okay. That doesn't mean they're a bad person. They're just different, and that's finesies. That's finesies. And you know what? On the note of friends, let's get on to our fourth and final lesson. Yay. All right. Okay. Friends. Let's talk about Friends. Friends. And not the hit 90s sitcom. The people in your life that you really like and want to spend more time with. Okay? Let's discuss that. A little bit of background. I'm a straight young male, okay? Heterosexual, okay? Which means I like women. They're pretty tight. They're pretty cool. All right, women, if you're listening out here, you're cool. All right, I like you guys. But I've realized that my relationship with women is a complicated one, and it's a video for another day. But I realized that in a lot of ways, I invested a lot of time and energy into my interactions romantically with women, should I say, because I have female friends and they don't count in this. Romantically with women. And I used to put a lot of stake onto that up until like very recently, in the last year. I used to put a lot of importance, and I'd got my way to invest a lot of energy and time in that. And I found that it didn't always pay out because, like, not every single person you're going to go out and try and seek a romantic interaction with is going to be your vibe. And sometimes you can feel a little bit burnt out. And sometimes I'd feel really lonely and empty and feel like something was wrong with me for not having enough successful interactions. I almost said something crazy just then. And I realized that I wasn't investing time with people who I knew liked me already. I was putting energy into finding new people, specifically girls, who would like me and be interested in me and trying to make them more interested in me. And sometimes it doesn't always work out for you. And I realized I was wasting so much energy because most of my social time was spent doing that. And I realized I wasn't investing enough time with the people who I like and like me already. And I realized that to deal with that feeling of emptiness and loneliness and being burnt out in that area of my life, I needed to spend more time and invest more energy to my friends and actually be there and try and be a good friend and keep up the health of my platonic relationships. So, yeah, towards the end of the year, I kind of started putting more energy into that. And I know this is going to sound crazy, guys. It's going to sound nuts. But I spent more time with my friends, and I was happier for it. I know. Revolutionary stuff here on the Simba channel. I know, okay? The Simba Manemo channel only has life-changing advice, okay? Life-changing revelations. But yes, I spent more time with friends, and I was happier for it. And I didn't realize, like, most of what I was really missing, like, in socially, was just, and in just like the loneliness was just me not being close enough with my friends and not getting to know those people better. I realized with my friends, I'm never thinking about what to say next. I'm always laughing. It's always good vibes. We're having good conversations. And I realized that not only do I want to spend more time with these people, I realized that I really value these people. And I want to not only spend more time with them, I want to see them do well. And I want to see them be happy. And I want to find more ways to make those people happy and like do things that are meaningful and make their lives more meaningful. I want to be a meaningful presence in those people's lives because they are like meaningful to me. I appreciate the fuck out of all of my friends. And if they don't know it, if you're one of my friends out here and you don't know it, your impact in my life is amazing. Just you existing in my life has got me through some crazy shit. So I appreciate that. And I want to see them do really well. And if they're going through struggles, which they have done, you know, I have friends who've gone through stuff. I'm not obviously going to fucking expose them. But yeah, if they are, I want to be there to help them in ways that are tangible and meaningful. And I want to do that. I want to deal with the messy bullshit of friendship. I want to deal with the fun stuff of friendship. I want to just be there all the way. And yeah, I want to spend more time and energy doing that this year. And obviously, there's a balance because, you know, as a human being, there's certain needs that have to be fulfilled. And I'll try my best to deal with that. But I think it's about finding the balance and making sure that I'm making enough time for friends and being there for them. Because that's what I really want to do. I just want to be there for my friends. As cringe as that may sound. I know. Very lame. Anyways, gang, that's all my life lessons. My audio recorder is soon going to run out of battery. Hey, I hope you got something out of this video. I always get something out of making them. It's always cool to share my thoughts and feelings and all the reflections of the last year. But yeah, let me know what you think about anything I said. Like I said, please, I'm 23 years old. And I know this caveat is only for my own self-benefit. It means nothing to you guys. And if you want to take my advice, you're going to take my advice. But I'm 23 years old, okay? So take everything I say with a massive fucking grain of salt because I don't really know what I'm talking about most of the time. But let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are on things. If you disagree with anything that I say, please, I'd love to hear it. New perspectives and things really help me out. And I would, love to start a conversation. And lastly, I've been thinking about the direction of this channel and what I'm doing here because I do love making these videos. It's really fun for me. And I think right now I'm pretty happy with the direction my regular, normal-ass life is going. So with this stuff, I think I just want to talk. I don't think I'm super duper focused on like optimizing and fucking thumbnail and SEOing. I'm going to try and do better at it and stuff, but I think I want to just make more videos. I think I've been dissatisfied with the amount of videos I've made on the channel because there's things I'd like to talk about. And I think one of the fears I've had is that like I don't want this to come off as like one of these self-improvement channels where I'm giving you advice and telling you how to live life. But I think there's value in sharing what works for you and reflecting on your own stuff and your own journey in self-improvement. And I think I'd like to share that with people. So hopefully more videos coming this year. I don't want to make any promises, but yeah, there's stuff I'd like to talk about. Just share my journey, have a conversation, and do that until I have nothing left to say. And then once that's done, we can wrap up shop again. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And maybe also some more fun, lighthearted content too. We'll see. Or maybe you won't see another video until 2024. Who knows? That's a cooler year. So just in number alone. So anyways, stay safe. Have an absolutely beautiful, blessed, wonderful day, week, month, whatever it may be. I'll catch you on the flip side. You absolutely gorgeous person, you beautiful person. All right. Love you platonically in a weird social online way, okay? Don't be weird. All right. All right. Goodbye.